Welcome to Sentul on the outskirts of Jakarta. We're at the Indonesian Grand Prix, round 14, the penultimate round of the 1997 World 500cc Championship.
Yeah, very excited to be here in Indonesia for this race, Nick. Obviously, this is the second time we've come to the Sentul circuit. Last year, there was problems with the track surface, though, and since then the track has been relaid. That's why we're a little bit later in the year compared to 12 months ago. But for all these riders, a very different challenge compared to what they had last year for the inaugural Indonesian Grand Prix.
Yeah, the biggest challenge is the man on the screen, number 1, Mick Doohan. He's chasing his 10th successive Grand Prix victory, and already this season he's retained his World 500cc title. He has won 12 Grand Prix. This is a big ask for anybody to beat Mick Doohan here in Indonesia, and the final round of the championship when he returns home triumphantly to Australia.
Yeah, 4-time world champion now, Mick Doohan, and this is his 49th pole position. Whenever you look down the stat sheet for this entire field, there's one man that's utterly dominant, and it's Mick Doohan, and he's shown that all the way through this season. Nick, he's unbeaten since the Italian Grand Prix at Mugello on the 18th of May. We've gone through a whole way through the summer. Mick Doohan just has been able to stamp that authority all the way through this field.
Who can challenge him? Well, perhaps one of his own teammates is the best bet. Tadayuki Okada has taken 4 second places. Nobuatsu Aoki done a good job in his debut season in the 500cc class.
Yeah, Aoki's looked really strong all the way through this season. He's up there in second spot in the World Championship just to show how strong he is. And we'll have to keep an eye out for the number 18 on his TSR Honda. But as you said, Tadayuki Okada probably the most likely to be able to bring that fight to Mick Doohan in the qualifying session yesterday. It was 0.4 of a second between the two Repsol Honda teammates though, so Okada on that number 7, he's going to need to really step up his pace to be able to go with Mick Doohan.
Yeah, and Alex Barros, special day for him. 100th Grand Prix appearance, the Brazilian.
Yeah, Alex Barros, we've seen him all the way through the last few years, able to fight at the front, challenge for podiums, challenge for race wins, and on this 100th start for him, Alex Barros is going to start from the back of the field though in 20th after a really tough qualifying session. He was 2.5 seconds off the pace and struggling, but keep an eye out for the number 4, never a man to be discounted.
So, we have 30 laps of the circuit. It's 3.965 kilometres, 2.464 miles. Total distance, 118.950 kilometres, 73.920 miles. Be hot, it's humid, and it won't be easy for the riders.
Well, that's it exactly, Nick. This is as tough as it gets for these riders. This is the moment you train for as a rider. This is what you spend the time in the gym working towards, because you need to be strong and fit all the way through a race like this.
Mick Doohan. The bike almost goes automatically, doesn't it, to pole position. He doesn't actually have to move the handlebars. It's like a well-behaved dog. It knows exactly where it's got to go. Yeah,
it's definitely got that homing beacon on it for Mick Doohan, and he's been able to use that all the way through this season. That's why he's been able to wrap up this championship so early. But he's not going to have it all his own way during the course of today's race. As I said, Tadayuki Okada on the number 7 machine. He's also going to be thereabouts. Alex Crivier, that you can see closest to the screen here, on the number 2 machine. He's obviously trying to pick up his first win since the Spanish Grand Prix at the start of the season.
So here we go. We're underway. I was going to say it's a good start by the Repsol Honda, so that won't really be hard from the front row of the grid, will it?
Yeah, the 3 Repsol Hondas making a good start. Romboni made a disastrous start from the front row of the grid on his Aprilia twin. He's fallen all the way down the order.
So the Repsol Honda boys lead the way. The crowd cheer them on. It's Mick Doohan that leads the way. That familiar number 1, he will retain that number 1 plate.
Yeah, and Cadalora there on the number 3 machine, the Red Bull Yamaha, trying to get down the inside into 3rd position as well. He's made a good start from the 2nd row of the grid. Looks like he's been able to get in front of Norick Abe. Cadalora, of course, his future a little bit in doubt whether or not he's going to continue in the Grand Prix class. Regis Laconi looks like he's going to move on to that Red Bull Yamaha for next season, so Cadalora needs a good result here.
Interesting circuit. Only the second time the Grand Prix bikes have been here. As Steve said, the circuit has been resurfaced, and dust was always the problem here, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of problems with the dust here in the past. They've had to resurface the track. That's why it was an early season round in the 1996 season, and now it's been pushed back to the end of the season. But World Superbikes has been coming here since 1994, so the track has been bedded in quite nicely since it was constructed in 92. And the big thing for the riders now is at least it's a little bit more predictable for where the grip's going to be. You can see for Norick Abe just running out of grip as he tried to get down the inside of Luca Cadalora. Cadalora able just to get that switch back.
Yep, Repsol Honda 1, 2, 3, and it's Okada and Doohan that are opening up a little bit of an advantage at the front. 29 laps to go, long way. There we go, confirmation. Cadalora, Abe and Checker, 4, 5 and 6. And the Repsol Honda trio of Doohan, Okada and Crivier at the front. What does Okada do? 4 second places, Doohan chasing his 10th successive win. I suppose he does exactly what he's doing at the moment. Hang on to the back wheel of Mick Doohan.
Yeah, that's it. For Taddy Okada, he's got plenty of experience now. He's into his 3rd season in the 500cc class. He's got almost 30 Grand Prix starts, but the big thing for him is he hasn't won a Grand Prix yet. Nick, he wants to make sure that he's able to finally get that monkey off his back. He's been close on occasions. He's had 10 podiums. He's been very competitive. If you think back to whenever he made his debut on the 500 twin last year in Malaysia, he qualified on pole position for his Grand Prix debut and then never quite was able to get that first win. Now on that 4-cylinder machine, he's put himself into position to win races this year, but it's so hard to beat Mick Doohan. So for Taddy Okada, he's going to have to dig deep all the way through this race.
He's got a glimpse there of Iwatsu Aoki, 2nd in the championship, but talk or even sorted that he will be leaving Honda and joining Suzuki.
Yeah, the paddock rumour is that Nobu Aoki will be ending ties with HRC. Obviously for the Aoki brothers, we've seen them with Honda for pretty much their entire careers, and for any of them to make that step and try and switch away from Honda really is very significant. But the chance to be a factory Grand Prix rider in the 500cc class, enough to make Nobu Aoki switch to Suzuki for the 98 season.
Yeah, well, the 3 Repsol Hondas are pulling away at the front. Alex Crivier's closed up on his teammates, Mick Doohan and Taddy Okada. There's a 3-way battle, as in many ways it has been for many races of this season.
Yeah, and for Crivier, the winner of the Spanish Grand Prix earlier in the season, he hasn't won since then, but he wants to make sure that he's in this scrap at the front of the field. Crivier looks like the bike's moving around a little bit more underneath, and he looks like the one that's pushing a little bit harder than his 2 teammates, but that's just so that he's able to latch on to the back of those riders in front of him. A few injuries for Crivier through the course of this season, and it has caught him out in recent rounds as well, just trying to get that fitness back, but at least it looks like Crivier back on form again here, Nick.
Yeah, good to see. Of course, a former 125cc world champion. A look there at Luca Cadalora, also going well. It's Carlos Checker. But 3 at the front, as expected, one would have to say, not only after qualifying, but after the season in a half. Mick Doohan clinching that 4th world title in the Czech Republic. As I say, he's chasing his 10th successive Grand Prix, and it really has been an amazing season for him.
Yeah, for Doohan it's been incredible. And just going back to Crivier, he's missed 4 rounds due to that injury. He came back a couple of rounds ago in Brno, but he's still up there, 4th in the World Championship. It shows just how strong those Repsol Honda riders have been all the way through the campaign.
We'll go a little bit further down. It's of Norikabe, Carlos Checker, Luca Cadalora. Leading this group is Norikabe. And the Yamaha, of course, Grand Prix winner himself. There's the trio, the Repsol Honda trio, plough away at the front, opening up a big advantage here. You imagine the podium, barring any incidents, mechanical problems, will be between these 3.
Yeah, we've already seen this story play out quite a few times through the course of this season between Doohan, Okada and Crivier, able to break away at the front of the field. As you said, Nick, with Carlos Checa there in 4th position, the key thing for Checa is keep yourself out of trouble with those riders behind you. There's going to be that battle that's got Cadalora, Aoki, Abe. You've also got Takumi Aoki on the twin in the midst of that as well, so you want to make sure you're able to keep clear of that, so that if anything does happen with the likes of Crivier, Doohan or Okada, that you're able to take advantage of that and put yourself into a position to be able to stand on the podium. That's Checa on the number 8 machine, trying to break away from Cadalora on the number 3 Red Bull Yamaha.
There, glimpse there of Nobu Aoki as well, but just a little bit of a gap, as you can see. There is Checker and Luca Cadalora. A lot of rumours about Cadalora, as you say, may go back to the 250s. He's certainly ridden a variety of machineries in all classes.
Yeah, triple world champion Cadalora, 125 and a double 250 Grand Prix champion, and he's always been able to show well on a 500. but just hasn't quite clicked like he would have wanted all the way through this season, and that's been the biggest issue for him. But he does still sit 5th in the World Championship. He's doing a decent job on that Red Bull Yamaha. But the key thing for Cadalora, make sure you're able to finish this season strong, just so that you know what you want to do for next season. 35 years of age, Luca Cadalora, so he is nearing the end of his career, and now he's facing all those decisions that come with it, whether or not you still want to be competing on the World Championship, whether or not you want to call time in your career.
There are the leading three. Then we have Carlos Checa, got a lonely 4th place at the moment for the Spanish rider. Crivier hanging on tight, but having to work very hard indeed to stay with the men at the front, Mick Doohan and Tadayuki Okada.
Yeah, and that's it, Nick. You can see that he's lost a little bit of ground to Tadej Okada in front of him. So now suddenly Crivier is going to have to start to push on another bit. He's going to have to try and just close that gap down to the number 7, Tadej Okada, we can see on screen, because Okada right now looks very strong, looks very comfortable there behind Mick Doohan.
Yeah, Mick Doohan's been in this situation many, many times before, being trailed often by a teammate, Alex Crivier, Tadej Okada. It's not a situation, and he has this ability to run at the front at a really good pace and be totally unaffected what's happening behind him and who's behind him.
Yeah, and I think that's the best word for it, Nick, unaffected by what's happening around him. Doohan just always able to be very analytical during a race. He doesn't tend to let the passion get the best of him. He tries to make sure that he stays as cool and calm and collected as possible all the way through races, and that's why he's been able to win so often. He's got 46 wins under his belt. He's got more than the rest of the field combined. He's got his 4 World Championships. He's got all that experience, and he puts it to good use every time he goes out there. The one thing about Mick Doohan is he never wants to be beaten, and he never knows that he's beaten as well.
Certainly doesn't. He does not like being beaten either. Just got a glimpse there of Carlos Checa, coming under pressure from Luca Cadalora, but Cadalora not letting him get away.
Yeah, Cadalora just doing a good job to keep that watching brief in 5th position. You can see that the gaps are starting to spread out a little bit, and that can happen here in Sentul, where basically it's very difficult to be able to follow some riders through some of these sections, and it does just allow you then to open up a bit of a gap. And if you've got a horsepower advantage like the Honda at the moment, you do have that long straight that just allows you to stretch the legs. And you can see for Okada, he's trying to stretch his legs down the inside of Doohan, but not quite close enough. But the big thing is, Nick, he's at least showing Doohan that he's not going to have it all his own way during the course of this race.
Certainly not. And as you see, that Cadalora certainly had closed up a little bit there on Alex Barros. Long way to go, still 24 laps to go. You would imagine it will remain very much the same at the front for quite a long time to come. I can't believe Okada will make a move on Mick Doohan while they're pulling away from the pack at this sort of rate.
Yeah, and this is the big challenge for the riders because of the conditions. It's very hot, it's very humid. It's always tough for the riders in any of these races in the Far East, just because of the conditions. You need to be able to concentrate all the way through a 30-lap Grand Prix when everything around you is suddenly starting to ache. You can feel all the aches and pains you have. It's a struggle to breathe. You can feel that fire in your lungs, and it's all those things that sap your energy. And once your energy's getting sapped, it's also taking away your concentration. It's really tough to be able to get through a Grand Prix around this central track without making a mistake.
And especially if you've got nobody in front of you the whole time. Your concentration levels have to be even higher, don't they?
Yeah, it's always easier to follow around a circuit like this just because you're able to conserve a little bit of energy, just to keep applying the pressure on the rider in front of you. It's not as important to get yourself to the front, even though Tadej Okada clearly wants to get to the front. We ride on board with Alex Crivier.
Yeah, perfect illustration of the two men in front of him as they close up, and Okada really is putting some pressure on Mick Doohan. Perhaps my great theory is going to go out of the window, that he won't try and take the lead. Perhaps he feels he's got the pace to get past Mick Doohan, and getting past is okay, but then perhaps open up a bit of advantage. And here he comes, Okada on the brakes. Tadej Okada leads away from his teammate Mick Doohan.
Yeah, Tadej able to make that move down the inside. Nice clean move there from Okada. We saw into turn one, Doohan able to defend on the brakes into turn one, but Okada's just been trying to set that move up and now finally able to make it stick.
Got his head down, and Alex Crivier feels, well, if he can do it, perhaps I can. We run well with Okada. Not a view you see too often looking back. Mick Doohan in second place this season. But there he is, the number one. And Okada chasing his first ever 500cc victory. Leads the way here in Indonesia. But there's a long grueling number of laps to go before he sees the checkered flag.
Yeah, I said earlier on, the big challenge for the riders in these kind of conditions is just to be able to keep your concentration, avoid making mistakes, try and just conserve a little bit of energy, leave yourself where at the end of the race you're able to make your push. For Tadej Okada, he's trying to do it the opposite way. He's trying to make sure he makes his push now and then can control the race from the front. So really good riding from Okada to get there into the lead of this race.
Yeah, it's a different theory, isn't it? But it's probably one that's needs. And Luca Cadalora has got past Carlos Checa, as you can see. And Norick Abe now running in 6th place. So Luca Cadalora is flying.
Yeah, Cadalora doing a good job there to move himself up and just close on to the back of Carlos Checa. He has looked like he's got that little bit of potential to challenge Checa, and now he needs to make sure he's able to clear Checa and then try and just bridge the gap to the Hondas out in front.
Do you think Okada now is trying to break it up a little bit and try and pull away?
Well, Okada's definitely going to try and do that, and you've got to say fair play to him, because on the basis of what we've seen all the way through this season, it's very difficult to try and get to the front of McDoohan and break away from him. That's why Doohan's been able to win every race since Mugello. But the big thing for Okada is you've got to keep trying these things. If it doesn't work, you regroup and then you try and get yourself ready for the final laps of the race.
Well, he's doing a good job, as I say, chasing his first ever 500cc Grand Prix victory. Tadej Okada, Alex Crivier hanging up there, and as you can see, Luca Cadalora's just opened up a little bit of an advantage now on Carlos Checa, and behind them you've got a glimpse there of Norick Abe.
Yeah, Abe doing a good job just to be able to keep himself in that position to try and apply some pressure on Checa. With Cadalora having hit the front of this group now, the key thing is, can Checa go with Cadalora? It looks like Cadalora's got that more potential, a bit more pace. We're only at 1/3 distance though, so at this stage of the race for Carlos Checa, it's crucial just to be able to latch on to the back of Cadalora.
So McDoohan chasing that 10th successive Grand Prix victory behind his teammate Tadej Okada at the front. Alex Crivier working really hard to hang on to this pair, but they are just opening up a little bit of a gap between 1 and 2 and number 3 Crivier. Yeah,
Crivier is losing contact now with the race leaders. It's going to be crucial for him to dig deep, try and make sure that he's able to bridge that gap once again, because if Doohan and Okada get away at the front, you're not going to catch them. They're going to be consistent enough where they can maintain a gap to you. So for Alex Crivier on that number 2 machine, he really does need to push forward, try and apply some pressure to those race leaders. But Nick, he is coming back from injury. He came back at the Czech Grand Prix in Brno a couple of rounds ago, and after that crash in Assen, he has been struggling with his hands. So maybe in these conditions as well, that's going to play a factor for Alex Crivier.
Well, at the front, we thought it would be the 3 Repsol Hondas. It's still, as Steve said, we're only just over 1/3 race distance. But Okada, as you can see, leads the way. Got number 7 from number 1. Number 1 signifying McDoohan is the world champion. Well, he's 4 times a world champion. Just got a glimpse there of Luca Cadalora and Carlos Checa. Cadalora quite a lonely 4th place now.
Yeah, he's been able to clear Checa and pull away from him, and he's doing a really good job now to be able to try and close up on Alex Crivier. For Crivier, he's going to see the 2 race leaders stretching away from him almost everywhere, just inching away. And he's also going to know from his pit board that Cadalora is inching closer and closer to him as well. So Crivier is suddenly going to be a man under pressure, and he'll know that any mistake is going to be capitalised on by Cadalora and also going to put him out of contention for the race win. So Crivier really is the man under pressure right now, because he can find himself in no man's land very quickly.
Let's say lines up Okada there, but he looks very comfortable in 2nd place. Some really good on-board stuff. One from the back of Okada looking back to Doohan, and now we ride with Doohan looking at Okada in the front. And as we say, chasing that first ever 500cc Grand Prix victory.
Yeah, and for Okada, he's also chasing a little bit of history, trying to become the 4th Japanese rider to win in the Premier class. Norick Abe, of course, winner at Suzuka last season, and it had been a long wait for Japan before that, 14 years between Grand Prix wins, so hopefully it's not going to be quite as long for Japan with Tadej Okada able to hit the front in this race. But Doohan's certainly going to put him under pressure all the way through, isn't he, Nick?
Of that there is no doubt. Over the line they come. And they're looking at their pit boards, and they will see, probably to their dismay, 19 laps to go. It's a long way.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's what really takes the wind out of your sails during the course of a Grand Prix. Whenever you look across and you see that still hasn't reached half distance. You'll be thinking, oh my God, how can this race keep going on and on and on? But it does for all these riders at the front. And if you're Mick Doohan, you can see he looks comfortable out there now. He can put his bike anywhere he wants, and he can half wheel onto the back of Tadej Okada and just apply that pressure to his teammate.
It's almost as if he's saying, you lead the way, that's fine. You do all the hard work at the front. I'm very comfortable sitting here in second place.
Yeah, we've seen though Mick Doohan in the past, whenever it's come down to these last lap and late race battles with his teammates, that he can be beaten. Crivier's beaten him a few times. And for Tadej Okada, he might not have won a Grand Prix yet, but he does have plenty of experience of running at the front of the field. He's already had 10 podiums in just 2 seasons in the 500 Grand Prix class. And
of course, 250cc Grand Prix winner. So he does know about winning Grand Prix, doesn't he? Will he want to be in this position? It's a long way on yet, but we're looking on in this position towards the end of the race, or would he rather that Doohan was leading the way?
Well, I think the one thing we've seen time and time again is if Doohan's out in front, it's very hard to get past. Yeah. So I think your best chance of beating Mick Doohan is to beat him from the front. Try and make sure that you're able just to break away from him if you can at this stage of your Tadej Okada, and otherwise just try and regroup and see what comes from that.
Yeah, you say Doohan looks very comfortable. Cadalora inching nearer and nearer Alex Crivier. He's not mounting some sort of challenge now, but he will be getting it from his pit boards that he's probably dropping away from the leading duo, and Luca Cadalora is inch by inch closing the gap on him as they chase that final podium position.
Yeah, for Crivier, he is trying to dig his heels in. He's trying to be as stubborn as possible at this stage of the race and just at least keep himself within sight of these race leaders. You can see the gap behind Mick Doohan round about a second there to Alex Crivier, but as to be right on board with Doohan, and he's just swarming around at the heels there of Tadej Okada. He clearly wants to get to the front, Doohan, and he's got that pace to get there, but Tadej Okada riding really well just to be able to defend from him. But Nick, as they continue to fight, that's also going to slow them up a little bit and potentially bring Crivier back into this race. That's why it's so crucial for Crivier to make sure that he stays on the pace all the way throughout.
Yeah, surely, and if Doohan feels that the pace isn't quick enough, and he is allowing Crivier to get back into the battle for the lead, he will go past Okada and try and up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And for Mick Doohan, we've seen it time and time again in the past that he is the master tactician. That's why he's been able to win 46 Grand Prix. And for Doohan, it really is a case of trying to make sure you pick your spots that you're going to try and make your overtaking move and then try and break away. But we're still not even at half distance in this Grand Prix, so plenty of time left for Mick Doohan.
Yeah, it's a fascinating battle, certainly with the situation the way it is. I'm sure if that was towards the end of the race, you'd have seen Mick Doohan running on the brakes there and getting up the inside of Tadej Okada. But there's Doohan chasing his 10th successive Grand Prix win. He's won 12 Grand Prix already this season, retained the title. And Okada at the front, still chasing that elusive first 500cc Grand Prix victory. And I think Crivier, actually, I think what you said was perfect, dug his heels in. And I think that's exactly what he's done at the moment in third place.
Yeah, you can see the gap between Crivier and Cadalora has started to stretch out again now as well. So we do now have the two Repsol Hondas out in front, Okada and Doohan. A little bit of a gap to Alex Crivier, and then a big gap now towards Cadalora. So as it stands, the podium once again looks like it's going to be fought out between the three Repsol Honda riders, but it is going to come down to who makes the first mistake in this race, Nick. If you make a mistake, it's highly likely that it's going to be punished. The pace is so consistent at the front. All of these riders just hitting their marks lap after lap. So if you give up any ground to them, it really is going to be impossible to make that up. And that's why it's so important for Doohan to keep applying the pressure onto Tadej Okada. Okada is the rider with the least amount of experience in this leading group.
And I think we've lost Luca Cadalora. No sign there of Cadalora. It's Checker, Aoki and Abe. Looks like Luca Cadalora has gone.
Yeah, it looks like a problem for Cadalora, and we had seen him drop off the pace a little bit from Crivier, so maybe a technical issue there for Cadalora. You can see Crivier on that number 2 machine in third position, and now that big gap to Checa, Aoki and Abe, as you said, Nick, and then behind that a big gap once again all the way to that number 24 machine. That's Takuma Aoki on the V-twin Repsol Honda.
Again, going well, the twin at the front, the 4-cylinder machines. And Mick Doohan in second place made a big decision, didn't he, about what bike to ride this season, what engine
and
to
here
use.
is Cadalora back into the pits. So technical issue there for Cadalora. We saw a few times where he seemed to just be losing some of his drive behind Crivier. I thought it might have been down to tyres or something like that, but clearly a technical issue there for Cadalora, and he drops out of this Grand Prix.
So Okada still leads the way. Mick Doohan happy to follow him, but looking very comfortable in second place. Crivier digging in his heels to try and hang with them. His challenger, Luca Cadalora, was beginning to pull back a little bit of advantage on him out of the race. We saw him back in the pits. And there's a good battle now for 4th, 5th and 6th between Checker Aoki and Nobuatsu Aoki and Norik Abe. And just behind them, you just got a glimpse there of the Aoki brother on the Honda Twin.
Yeah, Takumi on the Twin, and it looks like we're going to have a change within that team for next year as well, with Aoki moving on to the 4-cylinder machine. But interestingly, Nick, one of the big rumours around the paddock here in Indonesia is Setija Gibernau, teammate to this man Norik Abe, may well be in line to move to the Repsol Honda squad onto the V-Twin. He struggled this year on the V4 Yamaha, but maybe with the option of moving on to the Honda for the 1998 season.
So Checker running in 4th place. Aoki had a terrific season in his debut season in the 500cc class. He is 2nd in the World Championship. Looks like he's on his way to Suzuki. And behind them, man that knows all about winning at his home country, Norik Abe.
And how bright does the future look for Japanese racing as well? When you've got the Aoki brothers, when you've got Okada out at the front of the field, you've got Norik Abe on the number 5 machine there. They've waited a long time to have a few really strong riders back in the 500 Grand Prix class, but they certainly have it right now.
They have, and obviously all the major manufacturers come from Japan, and they are desperate to produce a 500cc world champion. Well, Okada still leads the way. Doohan again lines him up, and this time he thinks, right, stop lining up. About time I got back in the lead. Mick Doohan leads the way now from Okada. He's had his stint at the front. How will Mick Doohan run it now? He always wants to win a race at the slowest possible speed, but I don't think Okada will let him do that.
I think if you're Mick Doohan right now, you try and break away from Okada, see if it's possible, and if it isn't, then you regroup. You try and push really hard for this lap, open up a bit of a gap, and then see where you stand. But the big thing for the whole way through this race has been whoever's followed has always looked like they've got that little bit more pace. They look like they're able to put their bike where they needed to go to try and overtake the rider in front of them. So let's see if that's still the case for Okada now that he's been overtaken by Mick Doohan.
Well, we often describe this sport as a high-speed game of chess, and this is the perfect illustration, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if you're to look at the chess pieces on the board, Mick Doohan certainly is the queen. He's able to move anywhere he wants on a racetrack. He's got all the moves in his bag.
So where's Okada? What would you call him?
I tell you what, I think I'd be calling him a knight right now. He's got the potential to be a very useful piece right now on this chessboard, but he doesn't have the experience of a Mick Doohan, so that's what gives Doohan that little bit of an edge. But for Tadej Okada, he certainly got the potential today to give Mick Doohan a real fight. Now the big thing is he going to be able to get him into checkmate at some stage during the course of this race, Nick?
13 laps to go. I think this is a crucial period of the race. If Mick Doohan's going to try and break away, this is where he's going to do it. Checker still leads the way. There is Aoki, another Aoki, and behind them, familiar style. You could pick him out anywhere, couldn't you? Norik Abe.
Yeah, Abe with his distinctive style on that bike, always aggressive, always pushing hard, and he's doing really well just to be able to stay in this group as well, Nick, because he hasn't looked comfortable out there. He's always looked like he's sliding around a little bit more than the other riders. He's having to just ride that little bit harder than all the riders around him. But as we've seen time and time again with Abe over the years, he just constantly keeps himself in that position to be able to try and attack. So Abe into the final third of this race, definitely going to be in a position to try and make some moves into the top 5.
We ride with Aoki. In front of him is Carlos Checker. Behind him is Norik Abe. You might see Abe might see a big number 5 come through as we ride on board. You know it's him with the hair flowing out of the back of the helmet, but looks quite content to stay at the back of this group at the moment. This is the battle for 4th place. Luca Cadalora was in there, but Luca Cadalora unfortunately out with a mechanical problem when looking a very likely 4th place finisher. Yeah, good fight. They've had I say mixed season. Aoki certainly has been very impressive in his debut season in the 500cc class. A former 250cc Grand Prix winner. Way back, golly, 1993 in Malaysia, he won a 250cc Grand Prix.
Yeah, and for Carlos Checa, he had back-to-back podiums in the middle of the season in the French Grand Prix, and then also at the following race at Assen, and last time out in Catalonia up there on the podium as well. But you can see here with Abe just sliding down the inside of Aoki, and any time that you want to try and discount Noric Abe, he'll always answer straight back. And you can see in this group as well, like, they are really struggling a little bit for grip. You saw there with Checa just trying to get on the gas in the exit of that corner, sliding it up. So maybe now as the tyres start to drop, that's where the Yamaha can come into its own and just have a little bit more potential. The Yamaha a little bit smoother on its tyres than those Hondas around them.
So Abe now putting a little bit of pressure on Carlos Checa. Aoki, number 18, trying to fight his way back. So say this is the battle for fourth place. It's a similar battle at the front in many ways. Perhaps Alex Crivier in third place is a little bit further back from Mick Doohan and Tadayuki Okada, and Luca Cadalora, unfortunately, who was in fourth place, out of the race with a mechanical problem.
Yeah, and the big thing for all of these riders in each of these groups is they know that any mistake is going to be punished. If you're Doohan or Okada at the front, you know Crivier is close enough now to take advantage of a mistake, and if you're Carlos Checa at the front of this group, you know that if you make a mistake, you could fall all the way to the back of this group, and it's tough to overtake here in Sentul. We've seen that all the way through the race, a couple of overtaking moves for the race lead, but we haven't really seen an awful lot of moves, Nick, and the reason for that, still just dusty and dirty off the racing line. So to try and make a move, you need to put your bike, and that looks like actually the Crivier run off there. Crivier's gone missing.
We've lost Alex Crivier. He's back on now, but has he dropped back? Let's have a look. There he is.
Crivier bit down into sixth spot there behind that Checa, Abe and Aoki battle. I was saying, Nick, that any mistake is going to see you punished and drop down the order. Crivier, that's a big punishment, but suddenly this has elevated this to a battle for the podium now.
Yeah, it's very brilliant. It's a good battle anyway, but it's really livened it up now. This is the battle for third place. Carlos Checa would finish on the podium. Noric Abe, Nobuatsu Aoki, and there's Alex Crivier. He's been running third all race. A mistake by the Spaniard, and there he is now at the back of this group. Third, fourth, fifth and sixth.
Yeah, for Crivier, he then really needs to just recollect his thoughts, try and just compose himself, and now remember he's still got a third of the race left to try and move through this order, still get onto the podium. And just looking at this group as well, Nick, it does look like Checa's having to work that little bit harder than the riders around him. He looks at that bike's just moving around a little bit more underneath him, so he is having to push on with that bike right now, and Abe able just to take advantage of that, get down the inside into turn one. Said earlier on that it looked like Abe just able to manage his tyres a little bit better than the riders around him. Looks like he's just got that little bit more grip underneath him.
Yeah, it certainly does from the overtaking, and now can he open up a little bit of an advantage to make that third place safe? But Alex Crivier is going to have to work very, very hard indeed to get back to that third place and be on the podium. Yeah, we're going to run with him.
And you can see just down in towards the right hand, it just gets out of shape and has to stand the bike up, run through the gravel trap. And for Crivier, at least he doesn't crash. At least he's able just to keep the bike upright, get back into the race. You've dropped from third position down to sixth, but he still has the chance, Nick, about being able to get himself back up into those podium spots. The big thing for him is he needs to make an impact on Nobu Aoki straight away, because with Noric Abe having hit the front of this group, Abe looks like he's able to break away.
Yeah, as you say, it looks like he's got that little bit of extra grip, and there's confirmation he's beginning to pull away in third place. Oh, Jean-Michel Bayle out of the race on the Roberts machine. I don't know if it was a crash or mechanical problem, but the Frenchman, as you can see, is perfectly okay. The battle continues. Rage isn't quite the right word at the moment, as it is a chess match, but it's very interesting indeed. You've got to say Okada is doing a brilliant job. Yeah,
this is still the stage of a poker match where you haven't gone all in yet. You're just leaving your cards on the table and giving yourself the initial bets. And if you're Taddy Okada, he's still certainly just edging himself closer and closer to getting to the point where he wants to attack Doohan. But there's still so much time left in this race. There's still 1/3 of this race left. You're now coming in through the back markers, and that's going to obviously add a different element to it. And for Okada, it's seeing whether or not you can take advantage of anything that's happening in front of you. It's Laurent Neveu in front of the race leaders.
They have got time to get through. What they don't want to do is come in amongst those people towards the end of the race, the last few laps. Abe running in third place. Aoki's got in front of Checker. Crivier hanging on there, but not really making an impression at the back of this group. And Abe taking full advantage.
I wonder how long it's taken Crivier just to actually clean up his tyres as well, Nick. Just having ran through that gravel trap, there's so much dust on the racing, just off the racing line here in Sentul. So maybe for Crivier it's taken him a few laps just to scrub off that tyre again, and now he's able to collect himself and close up on the riders in front of him. Checa looks like he's going to be easy prey though. Checa looks like he's dropping off the pace. So suddenly for Crivier, make that move quickly and then see if you're able to then get on to attacking Aoki and Abe as well. Only 8 laps remaining.
So Abe opening up an advantage. Aoki with Checker behind him, but Crivier now looking dangerous after going off when he was running in third place. A good ride by Abe, and as you say, does seem to have a lot more grip than perhaps his pursuers, and also when he was chasing them on the Yamaha.
Yeah, Abe's just looked really calm and collected all the way through this race on that rainy Yamaha. And for Abe, he picked off his riders and his rivals when the opportunities presented themselves, but he hasn't looked ragged. He hasn't looked like he's had to push too hard. He hasn't looked like he's had to overstress the tyres. He's actually looked a lot more comfortable than the riders around him. So maybe that Yamaha just working a little bit better at this stage of the race.
There is no doubt that Crivier is now lining up Carlos Checker. He does seem to have a few grip problems. But Crivier's got to make a move soon, because Abe is opening up a fair old advantage for that final podium position in third place. And he needs to get past Checker, and he needs to get past Aoki if he's going to get anywhere near the Japanese Yamaha rider.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It looks like right now Crivier is the faster of that trio of Honda riders, but it looks like Abe and Crivier have pretty much the same pace right now. So if you're Alex Crivier, you've got to clear them as quickly as possible and then just see in the final 7 laps whether or not you're able to close on to the back of Norik Abe in that fight for the podium. It's such a fast lap around here, Nick. It's only a 1 minute 26 second lap, so the time does tick down very quickly for Alex Crivier trying to close up that gap.
7 laps to go. The game of chess continues at the front. Somebody's got to make a checkmate move at some point. How long will they leave it? Doonan, Okada at the front. Here is Crivier, and he's got past Carlos Checker. Next man in view is Nobi Aoki.
Yeah, and I think the one thing right now is for all of these riders, you're moving into the final 6 laps of the race. You want to try and use this as your time to now see whether or not you're able to close those gaps, make the moves, try and see what your potential is out there right now. And for Crivier, that's all about trying to make sure you can just immediately latch onto the back of Aoki, make that move. For Crivier, he's got to try and make it as quickly as possible. That could be even down in towards turn 1 if he's able to get close enough to Aoki. If you're Mick Doohan, you're trying to make sure that you're able to stretch out a little bit of a lead, and it does look like Doohan's on one of his fastest laps of the race. He's managed to open up what's the biggest lead we've probably seen through the course of this race so far, Nick.
Yeah, I'd say it is the biggest lead. Big couple of laps coming up, obviously, for Mick Doohan at the front from Okada. He's got to hang in there if he's going to have any chance of victory. Over the line they come. 6 laps to go here in Sentul. Mick Doohan chasing his 10th successive Grand Prix win in the 500cc class. Tadej Okada behind him, his teammate, chasing his first ever victory in the 500cc class. And Doohan has got his head down.
Yeah, how good is this for Mick Doohan as well, to be able just to edge out those couple of tenths of a second when he needs to do it. He's been able to put in what must have been one of his fastest laps of the race to try and edge away from Okada. But now, Nick, what can Okada do? Can he answer back? Can he try and make sure that he stays with Doohan, that he keeps in a position to keep Doohan under pressure?
Well, that's exactly what he's got to do. He's got to keep the pressure on. And certainly he's doing that at the moment. He's doing a brilliant job in second place as Doohan tries to open up that advantage at the front. Yeah, he's done well. Very well indeed, because you've got the feeling that Doohan might get away.
Well, Doohan's got the bike underneath him to be able to put it where he wants to spin some good lap times, and Okada's still been able to stay with him all the way. This is a very impressive ride from the Japanese rider, regardless of how it finishes up for him.
Here he is, Norik Abe in third place. And I've got to say, he was pulling away from that group, but well, you can see the gap. But Crivier not able to get past Aoki, and Checker hanging on at the back there. And Abe just dropped a little bit of the pace in third place.
Yeah, and for Crivier, it's crucial now that he's able to clear Aoki if he's to be able to hunt down Abe. That looks like it's Lucio Petruccini, just the back marker in front of Abe. So obviously enough, if you're able to catch him at the wrong time, that could lose you a lot of time compared to the riders chasing you down. So for Nobu Aoki, he needs to just make sure he's able to get his head down, 5 laps to go. Try and make sure that you're able to stay in front of Crivier and see whether or not you've got that bit of pace to be able to close down Abe. It doesn't look like Aoki has that, does it?
No, and you can't feel that there's only one person that may have the pace to close him down, and that is Crivier. But Crivier has got to get past the man, and we ride with Alex Crivier, as we did when he went off the track when he was running in third place. But there's Aoki in front of him.
It is going to be a costly mistake for Crivier if he's not able to clear Aoki and then be able to put some pressure on Abe in the final 4.5 laps. You can see from Abe how hard he's pushing. Big wheelie there as he gets on the gas down that short back straight. But with Lucio Petruccini now cleared, all these riders are now able just to focus on the battle for themselves. It does look like Czech has dropped off, Nick. He's not going to be a factor in this battle, so it is going to come down to what happens between Crivier and Aoki. Aoki, I think he's too far back himself to be able to try and close up on Noric Abe. So for Crivier, he needs to make that move, and he needs to make it soon.
Back at the front, 4 laps to go. It's a familiar sight doing these the way, but Okada has not let him get away at the front. It's coming down to the final showdown, isn't it? It's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, and I think for Tadej Okada, he's got to make sure, Nick, he's in a position to try and apply that pressure onto McDoohan further down the field. The same for Alex Crivier.
Here comes Crivier. He's going to make the move. He is on Aoki, and Alex Crivier moves up into 4th place. Now, can he make any impression on Noric Abe for that final podium position with 3.5 laps to go? This is going to be interesting in 2 ways. At the front, obviously, but also know the battle for the podium could be interesting, because Crivier almost immediately is closing on Abe, who in turn now is having his own grip problem.
Yeah, you can see with Abe a big slide just as Crivier had managed to take that 4th position. Abe sliding that rear on the exit of the corner, so he is really trying to push on. He's trying to give it everything he has, and maybe Alex Crivier just has that little bit more potential than him. Crivier, he needs to really jump that gap to Noric Abe and then see if he's able to make that move. But the clock is ticking down for this battle for 3rd, and also the battle for the race victory.
Well, it's sorted itself out, and now we have 2 really good battles. This is the one at the front. This is the crucial one. Doohan, Okada, Abe, Crivier, Aoki, Checkers. 2 separate battles. And Abe just about hanging on to 3rd place on the podium finish. At the front, it's going to be very interesting indeed. Carlos Checkers had a good ride, but has struggled a little bit for grip.
Yeah, and don't discount Nobu Aoki as well, because he's got something to fight for in this as well. We're at the penultimate round of the 1997 season, and as it stands right now, Nobu Aoki and Tadej Okada are joint on points in that World Championship, so he's got something to fight for as well, Nick.
Noric Abe knows they're coming, doesn't he? There's no doubt about that, and after looking very comfortable indeed. As you can see, he's having a lot of major grip problems, and Crivier already off the track when he was running in 3rd place. He's done well to fight his way back, thought about it, decides not to. And Aoki, you've got to say, looks nice and comfortable behind Crivier.
Yeah, Aoki's done well to be able to stay with them. It looks like this group is getting boxed up because Abe just doesn't have that pace right now. Maybe a lot of that's coming from the fact that Crivier's just got more potential anyway around this racetrack than Noric Abe. So Abe is just trying to make sure he's able to defend for the last 2.5 laps. But Nick, you'd have to say it looks like only a matter of time before Crivier is able to make that move.
It certainly does look like just a matter of time, and it's important for Alex Crivier to get past, because he doesn't want Aoki snapping at his heels the whole time. If he can get Abe between the 2 of them, it would be interesting. And Okada closes right up on McDoohan. 2 laps to go at this penultimate round of the 500cc World Championship. A championship dominated by Mick Doohan. A race, though, at the moment not dominated by Doohan. Here comes Okada, and Okada leads the way with 1 3/4 laps to go. Doohan fights back.
And for Okada, he's been able to set that move up just like the move he made earlier in the race. It looked like he tried to overtake on the run into turn one, wasn't quite able to do that, recollected his thoughts, and then was able to make the move down in towards that right-hander. Really good riding from Okada. Now let's see if Doohan's able to answer straight back.
Teammates, Doohan just making it quite clear who's the number one man there, and they did clash fairings, and this is going to be one hell of a 1.5 laps. To say the penultimate round of the championship. Okada chasing that first ever 500cc win. Mick Doohan chasing his 13th win of the season.
Yeah, and I think if you're the Repsol Honda paint man, you're probably getting a little bit worried right now after that near clash between the two teammates. But the good thing for that for Tadej Okada is he knows now the gloves are off. You've got to just win this straight off fight, and there's going to be no quarter given. There never is with Mick Doohan, even when it comes to racing his teammates. But as we move into the last lap, what's Okada going to be able to do?
Okada right behind Mick Doohan, number 1 and number 7. Teammates they may be, but this is an absolute crucial battle between the two Repsol Honda men.
This is where Okada set up his moves a few times during the race, down in towards the right-hander. Is he going to be close enough to do the same again?
He certainly is. Okada now leads the way from Mick Doohan. Doohan aggressively retook the lead very, very soon after on the last lap. Will he do the same? But Okada still leads the way. Okada chasing that first ever 500cc win. Doohan on the brakes, and Doohan back in front.
How good a move was that from Doohan as well. Through the flat out fifth gear, kinked down that straight, able to stay in the slipstream, and by the time they got to the braking zone, easily able to make that move for Mick Doohan. But Okada's still swarming, Nick. Half a lap to go.
He certainly is swarming. He's looked up the inside, he's looked up the outside, he's looked over the top, but time is running out. They're coming up to the final corner here in Sentul. And here comes Okada, side by side with Mick Doohan. Okada takes the lead. Is that the move that's going to bring him his first ever 500cc Grand Prix victory? Has somebody at last beaten Mick Doohan? They have. Okada wins here in Indonesia.
Wow, what a performance from Tadej Okada, and setting the fastest lap on that last lap as well, Nick. He really dug in. Let's see what happens behind for Crivier, Abe, and also Aoki.
We wait for them to arrive. Celebration time for Tadej Okada, but who's going to finish in a third place?
Yeah, we've missed that coming across the line, but it looks like Crivier on the timing screens has managed to take that third position, and you can see from the disappointment there on Norik Abe that Abe is being beaten on that final lap. Abe put up a good fight there, Nick, all the way through. Looked like in those closing laps, though, just ran out of tyre a little bit, but this man, Tadej Okada, certainly didn't run out of anything. His first ever 500 Grand Prix victory.
Yeah, and he beat Mick Doohan, and that is a very, very big thing to do in this amazing season for the Australian. And a good ride by Crivier in the end. He was running in third place, looking quite comfortable, ran off the track, and got involved in a hell of a scrap with Checker, Aoki and Abe. As you could see by Abe's face, on the last lap, Alex Crivier got back onto the podium. So it was a Repsol Honda 1, 2, 3, but in a different order than we're used to.
Yeah, for Tadej Okada, it's 3 years almost to the day since his last Grand Prix victory, a 250 class victory in Argentina. So for Tadej Okada, this really is going to mean something, and it's been coming though, Nick. If you look back to when he was racing the Twin last year, he was immediately competitive in the 500 class, and he's been able to notch up 10 podiums. This is his 11th podium and his first ever 500cc victory.
You can see what it means to him. It's been it's a tough old season. Let's have a look at this. Well, they're through the last corner. He's not going to let it slip this time. Doohan in the slipstream, goes inside, goes outside. But Okada crosses the line in first place. Mick Doohan's first defeat in 11 races. And Okada wins at last. A Japanese rider on the top step of a 500cc podium here at the penultimate round in Indonesia.
Yeah, we said earlier on, Nick, that it looks like the future is very bright for Japan in terms of their riding talent. Tadej Okada taking that victory.
A proud moment for him and Japan, and of course for Honda. And Honda 1, 2, 3. Here we go again. As we listen to the Japanese national anthem, we watch the highlights of this fantastic battle between teammates Mick Doohan and Tadej Okada. And Okada comes out on top for the first time this season.
Yeah, and in a straight-up fight, able to beat Mick Doohan. You saw how close they came on a couple of occasions through this race, and Tadej just really smart all the way through that race. Nick, really good tactical battle there from Tadej Okada to take that victory. You can see the team representative there just shaking his head as he walks off the podium, because with that 1-2-3, it really was a battle all the way between Okada and Doohan, and Crivier doing a good job just to manage to get himself back up there after running off the track.
Well, it was so close, weren't we, to having two Japanese riders on the podium, with Crivier finally getting third place back from Abe on that very last lap. So 1 round to go in the 1997 World Championships. 1 week's time, we are in Australia, and Mick Doohan will want to get back to winning ways to celebrate that world title with his home crowd.
Yeah, and for Doohan, of course, in Australia, he's been hard to beat in recent years, Nick, and you're not going to bet against him bouncing back from this disappointment by winning that final round of the year.
So congratulations to Tadej Okada, his first ever Grand Prix victory in the 500cc class. Doohan and Crivier complete the podium, then Aoki, Abe and Checker.
Nanti mereka akan berhadapan langsung, saudara sekalian, dengan Bapak Presiden.